Sophie never knew her father. When she got older and asked her mom about him, all she got was, "What? You're not happy with just me?" Laura loved her daughter, though she wasn't one for spoiling her. How could she not love her quiet, wide-eyed girl? Sophie never caused trouble, didn't skip school, got good grades, and always listened to her mom. She was an ordinary kid, nothing special. Not everyone can be a beauty queen. No adult ever called her cute or charming. "She looks just like her mom," they'd say. Laura didn't wear sweet-smelling perfume, didn't paint her lips, didn't strut in heels. Heels? After running around the factory all day, my feet are screaming, she'd say. She worked at a textile mill, where the machines roared so loud she got used to shouting to be heard. After ninth grade, Laura took Sophie to spend the summer at her friend's place in the countryside. She had a new romance brewing, and though Sophie wasn't in the way, Laura wasn't ready to share that part of her life yet. "How'd you and Mom meet?" Sophie asked her mom's friend, Aunt Carol. "She's a city girl, and you live out here." "Your mom's from the country too," Carol said. "We've been friends since we were in diapers. She moved to the city for the factory job. Never told you? She's always been shy about her roots." She sighed. "I stayed here, got married right after high school. No kids, though. God didn't bless me that way. My husband left for work one day and never came back. So here I am, alone. Your mom at least got to have you. Out here, there aren't many good men left. Most just drink." "What about my dad? Do you know anything about him?" "What's to know? The factory's mostly women. After a shift, no one's thinking about romance. They gave your mom an apartment as a top worker. Not everyone got that lucky. But time was slipping away." A man started at the factory as a machine technician. Not a looker, but a man doesn't need looks. In a place full of women, any guy's a catch. Somehow, your mom got pregnant by him. She was pushing her luck, barely young enough to have a kid. Laura wasn't a beauty. She didn't have suitors lining up. When she found out it was a girl, she was thrilled. Raising a daughter alone was easier. "She had you for herself," Carol said, with a sigh. "That's what they call it." Talking to Aunt Carol was easy, unlike with her mom. Carol taught Sophie chores around the house. What else was there to do in the country? There were other kids around, but they were all too young for Sophie to hang out with. Then, in late July, a teenage boy showed up at the neighbor's house. The moment Sophie saw him, her heart skipped a beat. He was helping his grandpa in the garden, hauling water from the creek, and Sophie watched from the window. One day, she saw him heading to the creek. She grabbed a towel and followed. Halfway there, she realized she'd forgotten her swimsuit, but didn't turn back. She sat on the grass by the water, watching him dive and splash as he surfaced. He noticed her too. "Why are you just sitting there? The water's warm," he called out. Sophie blushed, ready to bolt, but he climbed out, dripping, and handed her a water lily that smelled of river and mud. She offered him her towel in return. They started talking. His name was Ethan, sent to his grandpa's while his parents sorted out their divorce and split their stuff. "What are you doing tomorrow?" he asked. "Nothing, just helping Aunt Carol around the house," Sophie said, her heart racing. She'd never talked to a boy like this before. "Why?" "Let's go to the woods. The mushrooms are out, and Grandpa's leg is acting up." "Sure," she said, cheeks burning. They walked back together. He swatted at nettles along the fence with a stick, and she carried her damp towel over her shoulder, imagining it was his arm around her. Sophie woke at dawn, the sky barely light. She kept glancing at the clock, its hands crawling. "Why are you so fidgety?" Carol asked, yawning loudly. "Go back to sleep, it's early." "I'm going mushroom picking with Ethan," Sophie admitted. "Don't want to oversleep." Carol groaned, got up, and hauled out rubber boots and a basket of oversized clothes from the closet.
I'm not wearing that, Sophie protested. I'll look like a scarecrow. Put it on, silly. Snakes, mosquitoes, ticks out there. Tie your hair back tight under a scarf. Grudgingly, Sophie pulled on the baggy pants and shirt. She glanced in the mirror and cringed. Total scarecrow. Then a whistle sounded outside. No time to change. She grabbed the basket and ran out. Ethan gave her a nod of approval. He was dressed just as frumpy. In the woods, Ethan spotted mushrooms easily, but Sophie couldn't find a single one. Ever picked mushrooms before? He asked. She shook her head, embarrassed. Got it, he sighed. Then showed her how to spot them, which were edible, which to avoid. He'd point one out, let her pick it, then move on to find more. Soon, Sophie started noticing them herself, and they filled the basket. Good job, Carol said, eyeing the haul. I'll make soup and dry some for you and your mom to eat this winter. You'll remember the summer. Another whistle came from outside. Go on, Carol teased. Your boyfriend's calling you to swim. Sophie's face burned as she grabbed her swimsuit. They spent the rest of the month together. Woods, creek, trips to the store. Sophie fell hard the moment she saw Ethan. Her heart fluttered at the sight of him. A brush of his hand sent her trembling like a leaf. At night, she dreamed of him, willing morning to come faster so she could see him again. August flew by, and Laura arrived. What'd you feed her, Carol? She's filled out, Laura inspected, Sophie's tanned, glowing face. Fresh air makes everything taste better, Carol smiled. Look at all the mushrooms we dried for you. Sophie picked them herself. With a friend, she added. A friend? Already running off with boys? Laura snapped. I expected better from you, Carol. Pack up, Sophie. We're leaving tomorrow. It's too soon, Sophie said, nearly in tears. School's coming. You need clothes, notebooks, get ready. Sophie ran to the garden, spotted Ethan, and threw herself into his arms. Your mom's here? You're leaving? He guessed. She couldn't speak, choking on tears. Give me your address, Ethan said. I'll write to you. Sophie darted inside, tore a page from a notebook, and ran back. On the way, she realized she hadn't written the address. She turned back for a pen and overheard her mom and Carol whispering behind the stove. She's getting big. What if he takes an interest in her? He's not her real dad, you know. That's why I told him no. Sophie didn't listen further. She scribbled the address and handed it to Ethan. Sophie, get in here. We're up early tomorrow, Laura's loud voice boomed. Come out when it gets dark, Ethan said before slipping away. That evening, Sophie sat on edge, listening for his whistle. As Carol set up the guest bed, Sophie headed for the door. Where are you going? Laura asked suspiciously. Let her say goodbye to her friend, Carol said, defending her. You've given her too much freedom, Laura grumbled, but didn't stop her. Sophie stepped into the garden, and Ethan was already there, waiting. He led her behind a raspberry bush, out of sight, and kissed her. Sophie, inside! Go, Ethan said. If I don't sleep through, I'll see you off. I'll write, I promise. It felt like Sophie had barely closed her eyes when her mom woke her. They gathered their things and stepped outside. Mist hung over the creek, dew sparkled on the grass, and the sun peeked through the trees. Sophie didn't want to leave such beauty. She kept looking back, but Ethan didn't show. He must have overslept. Back in the city, Sophie checked the mailbox several times a day, waiting for a letter. Then the mailbox key vanished from her keyring. Must have fallen off, Laura said. Slipped the ring. Every day, Sophie asked if a letter had come. Give it up, he forgot you ages ago, Laura said. But Sophie didn't believe her and kept waiting. Too bad she didn't have a phone. Cell phones were just catching on, and Laura thought they were a waste. All Sophie could do was wait for next summer. But Laura didn't let her go back to the country. She got Sophie a summer job cleaning at a store. Extra money never hurts, she said. After high school, Sophie enrolled in college for accounting. Laura was proud. No one in their family had a college degree. Best job for a woman, Laura said. Sit in an office, shuffle papers, not slaving away at the factory like me. But no letters from Ethan ever came. After college, Sophie landed a job at a solid company, earning good money. The factory where Laura worked shut down. And she retired, but her health started failing. She grew moody, clinging to Sophie, not letting her out of sight. 2 years later, she was bedridden. I'm dying soon, Laura said one day. You'll be all alone. My friend's son just got divorced. He's coming over Saturday for lunch. Give him a chance." But Sophie didn't like him. She'd always obeyed her mom, but this time she pushed back. "What do you want? A prince?" Laura groaned. "You don't know life. Any guy could fool you. Promise me you won't let anyone move into the apartment. I worked my whole life for it and ruined my health." Laura's death was long and painful, dragging on another year. Sophie was left alone. One day, she decided to sort through her mom's things, some to give away, some to toss. She spent a weekend clearing out closets. Then she opened a shoebox and found an envelope. Her heart leapt. Ethan's letter. With trembling hands, she pulled out the note. "Sophie, hi. You never answered any of my letters. I won't write again. I hope you're doing okay." She choked on the sting of betrayal. That's why the mailbox key disappeared. Her mom had taken it to hide the letters. "How could you, Mom? Why would you do this to me?" She reread the letter. The postmark was 8 years old. Ethan hadn't forgotten her, like her mom claimed, but too much time had passed. He was probably married with a family, kids. Sophie scoured the closets, shook out every book, but found no other letters. Her mom must have forgotten this one, not thrown it out like the rest. She couldn't stay mad at her mom for long. She confided in a coworker. "You waited for him all this time, and he wrote to you?" The coworker gasped. "That's real love. I thought that stuff only happened in movies. My husband cheats, but what can I do? The kids." She shared her own troubles. "Is your mom's friend still around?" "No idea," Sophie said. "Go to the village," her coworker urged. "It's Memorial Day weekend. You've got time off." "He's probably married with kids." "You're an idiot," her coworker snapped. "If someone wrote me like that, I'd chase them to the ends of the earth." Sophie looked up the village online, found the bus route, and bought some gifts for Aunt Carol, just in case. She recognized the village right away. The house, too. Curtains, geraniums in the windows. Carol was still alive. Sophie knocked. "Who's this?" an older woman answered. "Aunt Carol, it's Sophie, Laura's daughter." Carol threw her arms around her, asking about her mom. "She passed last winter." "What?" Carol's eyes filled with tears. Sophie noticed how frail she'd become. "I'm getting by. It's quieter here. People live longer. Thanks for the gifts." "Is Grandpa still around? The garden's tilled." Sophie glanced out the window. "He passed last winter. That's Ethan's work. He got divorced, left his ex the apartment, and came here. Planned to sell the house, but stayed. Teaches math at the school in the next town over and does some online work." "Online?" Sophie corrected gently. "Yeah, that." Carol kept talking, but Sophie's heart was pounding. "He's here. Ethan's here. But would he want to see me? He thought he'd ignored his letters. My mom was taking your letters from the mailbox. I only found one after she died. The last one. He asked about you," Carol added suddenly. Sophie threw on her jacket and stepped outside. She was determined to talk to Ethan, to see him. The village was bursting with new greenery. The air was crisp, alive. Sophie took a deep breath, closing her eyes. For a moment, she was 15 again. "Sophie?" a voice said nearby. She opened her eyes. He'd changed, but she knew him instantly. "I came to visit," she said. "I'm sorry I never wrote back. I thought you forgot me. My mom was taking your letters from the mailbox. I only found one after she died. The last one." "I'm glad you're here," Ethan said. "You're married?" "No." "I'm divorced, living here now. Saved up some money. Nothing to spend it on out here. Planning to get a mortgage on an apartment this winter. Come to my place. Let's talk." Sophie stayed. They talked all night, barely sleeping. She told him how she waited for his letters. He admitted he'd married foolishly. "I couldn't forget you for the longest time. Never thought I'd see you again. And here you are." Carol didn't judge. The weekend flew by and Sophie had to head back to the city. She promised to return in 2 months for vacation. Now they had phones. They could call each other. Back in the city, Sophie's heart stayed in the village. She was done coming home to an empty apartment, living alone. Her mom was gone, no longer able to stop her. Sophie glanced at her mom's framed photo. Laura's eyes seemed to judge her, full of reproach. Sophie took the picture and tucked it into the bottom drawer of the dresser. Then she dialed Ethan's number.
Sophie, I'm so glad you called. How was the trip? I was thinking, she said, surprised at how easily the words came. Why wait for vacation? Come here. We'll visit the village on weekends. By the time Ethan arrived, Sophie had gotten a stylish haircut, a manicure, and cooked a feast. With age, she'd softened, no longer the angular girl she'd been. She'd grown prettier, she thought, catching her reflection. Love works wonders. Ethan arrived in early June after school let out. Sophie told him she was pregnant. He scooped her up, spinning her around the room. The next day, they filed for a marriage license. They decided to sell her one-bedroom apartment, combine it with Ethan's savings, and buy a two-bedroom. Soon, they'd be a family of 3. Before the move, Sophie was packing and found her mom's hidden photo. Laura looked content, almost smiling, rare for her. Had Sophie imagined her disapproval before? Photos don't change. Or do they? Who knows?